Plymouth sitting at just 2 degrees Celsius this morning, whilst Aberdeen enjoys a relatively mild 7 degrees. Yes, you heard that correctly. The southwest is currently colder than the far north of Scotland, and this temperature inversion is just the beginning of what's shaping up to be one of the most unusual weather weeks we've seen this autumn. Is your area about to face a dramatic shift in conditions over the next 72 hours? Right now, the Met Office has yellow warnings covering 12 counties across England and Wales, affecting nearly 8 million people. But what's coming next could change everything for your weekend plans, your Monday commute, and potentially the entire week ahead. I am going to break down exactly when these changes hit your specific location, what the competing weather models are showing, and why tomorrow's forecast update is going to be absolutely crucial. Drop your city or county in the comments right now, and I'll give you a personalized forecast in tomorrow's video addressing your exact concerns. Let me get straight to the timing for our major population centres. London, you are looking at current temperatures around 5 degrees, climbing to 8 degrees by tomorrow afternoon, but Saturday morning brings a sharp drop to 3 degrees with a biting northeasterly wind. Manchester, currently sitting at 4 degrees, tomorrow should reach 9 degrees before that same system pushes through Saturday evening. Birmingham, you are at 5 degrees now, 7 degrees tomorrow, then a weekend struggling to reach 6 degrees on Saturday. Glasgow, your mild spell continues through Friday with highs of 10 degrees, remarkably pleasant for this time of year. Edinburgh, similar story at 9 degrees tomorrow. Cardiff, you are tracking slightly cooler at 6 degrees currently, 8 degrees Friday, then that northerly blast arrives. Now, here is what nobody is talking about yet. The Met Office model and the European Centre model are showing significant disagreement about the track of this low-pressure system developing over the Atlantic. This difference of approximately 50 miles changes everything for Kent, Sussex, Hampshire, and Dorset. We should have much better clarity by tomorrow morning as model runs, which is exactly why you will want to check back. Let me walk you through the current setup. Across Northern Ireland, Belfast is experiencing scattered showers at 6 degrees. Newcastle, you are at 5 degrees with showers becoming more organised through the afternoon. The northeast is under that Met Office yellow warning for persistent rain that could accumulate to 30 to 40 millimetres by Friday evening. Leeds and Sheffield, both sitting at 4 degrees this morning. For those in Yorkshire, your main concern is the temperature combined with elevated terrain. The Pennines could see that rain turn to sleet on the highest peaks by Saturday morning if the cold air arrives as quickly as the latest runs suggest. Liverpool at 6 degrees. You've got quite a pleasant Friday ahead. Temperatures reaching 9 degrees with sunny spells. Nottingham and Leicester, you are both at 5 degrees now, 7 degrees tomorrow. The East Midlands stays relatively dry through Friday before showers push in from the east on Saturday. Southampton and Portsmouth, current temperatures around 6 degrees, and here where that model uncertainty becomes crucial. If the low pressure tracks further south, you could see sustained gale force winds Saturday night into Sunday. That is the difference between a blustery day and potential disruption to cross Solent ferries. Drop your location in the comments so I can address this specifically tomorrow. Brighton, Dover, and the wider south coast. You are currently between 5 and 7 degrees. The English Channel is going to become rather interesting Saturday into Sunday. Cambridge and Oxford both sitting at 4 degrees, tracking to 7 degrees Friday, both facing that question mark about Saturday's low pressure. Bristol and Exeter currently 5 and 6 degrees respectively. Plymouth still at just 3 degrees. You should finally see some moderation tomorrow, climbing to 7 degrees. But here's the one thing that concerns me most. That Atlantic system has the potential to bring really quite heavy rainfall to Devon and Cornwall, particularly over Dartmoor and Bodmin Moor. We could be looking at 60 to 80 millimetres accumulating over 24 hours if the European model is correct. Let me bring Scotland into focus. Aberdeen at 7 degrees currently, Inverness at 8 degrees, remarkably mild for late November. This warmth is courtesy of southwesterly airflow ahead of that frontal system. But wait until you see what's coming. The latest Met Office data suggests a proper northerly blast arrives Sunday into Monday, genuine Arctic maritime air. Glasgow and Edinburgh, after your pleasant Friday at 9 and 10 degrees, you are both dropping to 5 degrees Saturday, then potentially as low as 2 degrees by Monday morning with a feels-like temperature well below freezing when you factor in wind chill. The Central Belt could see wintry showers Monday, though there's still uncertainty about exact precipitation types. The Hebrides, Orkney and Shetland, you are already experiencing what's to come. Stornoway currently at 6 degrees with gale force winds. Kirkwall and Lerwick both around 5 degrees with winds gusting to 80 kilometres per hour at times. Swansea and wider Pembrokeshire coast, currently 6 degrees. You are tracking similarly to Cardiff, but with additional exposure to southwesterly winds off the Atlantic. Bangor and North Wales, 5 degrees now, and Snowdonia needs to watch that cold air arrival Saturday. We could see snow on the highest peaks, though we are talking above 600 metres elevation at this stage. York and North Yorkshire, 4 degrees currently, 7 degrees Friday, then a chilly weekend ahead. The Vale of York typically handles cold better than snow, but Saturday will feel distinctly cold with that wind component. Blackpool and the Fylde coast at 6 degrees, similar outlook to Liverpool but with coastal exposure. The Irish Sea will be lively Saturday and Sunday. Scarborough at 5 degrees, you will definitely feel that northeasterly developing Saturday. The North Sea influence means you often run a degree or two cooler than inland areas. For Northern Ireland, more comprehensively, Derry at 5 degrees with showers becoming frequent through the afternoon. The north coast already experiencing strong southwesterly winds. Armagh and Newry both around 5 degrees, fairly typical late November through Friday before cold air sweeps in behind the frontal system. Belfast, as I mentioned earlier, scattered showers at 6 degrees, but you are first in line for that frontal system Saturday morning. Actually, I should be more precise about timing because it matters for weekend planning. That frontal system currently looks like it crosses Northern Ireland Saturday morning around 7 o'clock, reaches Western Scotland by Saturday lunchtime, pushes into Northern England Saturday afternoon between 2 and 4 o'clock, and arrives across the Midlands and Southeast Saturday evening into Sunday morning. But these timings could shift by several hours either direction depending on how quickly that low pressure develops. This is exactly the kind of detail that becomes clearer as we get closer to the event, which is why checking back tomorrow is so important. The Cotswolds at 4 degrees, climbing to 7 degrees Friday. If you are in Gloucestershire, Worcestershire, or Oxfordshire, you are right in that uncertain zone for Saturday's precipitation. Could be rain, could be a mix, could be drier than currently forecast. The latest GFS model has shifted slightly drier for the Cotswolds, which would be good news, but the UKMO ensemble still shows precipitation. This difference matters because it affects outdoor plans, sporting events, that sort of thing. We all know more tomorrow. Penzance and Land's End at just 2 degrees, genuinely unusual for the far southwest. That S, the kind of temperature you'd expect to see in the Midlands, not Cornwall. You moderate to 7 degrees Friday, but that Atlantic system, you are potentially in the firing line for persistent heavy rain Saturday night into Sunday. The Channel Islands, Jersey and Guernsey both around 7 degrees, typically running slightly milder than mainland. Your weekend depends entirely on that storm track. Currently, it could go either way. The Midlands more broadly, Coventry, Wolverhampton, Stoke. You're all clustering around 5 degrees now, 7 to 8 degrees Friday. Preston and Lancaster, 5 degrees currently, 9 degrees Friday. Then that cold blast Saturday. The M6 corridor through Lancashire could see some tricky conditions Saturday if we get precipitation coinciding with that temperature drop. Not forecasting disruption at this stage, just something to be aware of. Kent comprehensively now because I mentioned model uncertainty earlier. Maidstone at 6 degrees, Canterbury similar, Dover at 5 degrees due to coastal exposure. Tunbridge Wells typically runs a degree cooler than the coast due to elevation. Friday sees temperatures across Kent reaching 8 degrees, possibly 9 degrees in sheltered spots. Saturday is where that model disagreement becomes critical. If the low tracks as the Met Office suggests, you get rain but not excessive amounts. If the European model is correct, you could see persistent rainfall with localised flooding possible in typical problem areas. The Medway towns and parts of East Kent are particularly vulnerable if we get those higher rainfall totals. Surrey and West Sussex, Guildford and Crawley around 6 degrees, 8 degrees Friday. The Surrey Hills and South Downs can generate their own weather at times. Hampshire Inland, Winchester and Basingstoke at 5 degrees now, 8 degrees Friday. The South Downs provide some shelter from northerly winds, so you often fare better than coastal areas when the wind swings to that direction. Wiltshire, Salisbury at 5 degrees, Swindon at 6 degrees. Salisbury Plain can be surprisingly cold on clear nights, and if Saturday night clears, as some models suggest, you could see temperatures falling to near freezing in rural spots. Dorset, Bournemouth at 6 degrees, Dorchester at 5 degrees. The Jurassic Coast faces southwest, so when that Atlantic system arrives, you are exposed to strongest winds and heaviest rainfall. Weymouth and Portland, similar concerns. Somerset, Taunton at 5 degrees, Bath at 6 degrees. The Somerset levels are obviously flood-prone in sustained heavy rainfall. Current river levels are reasonably low for the time of year, which is positive, but 60 millimetres in a day over the catchment would change that quickly. Essex, Colchester, Chelmsford, Southend around 6 degrees this morning. The Thames estuary creates some interesting localised effects, often a degree or two milder than surrounding areas. Friday looks pleasant at 8 degrees. Saturday turns colder with that northeasterly developing. Norfolk, Norwich at 5 degrees currently. East Anglia often runs slightly cooler, partly due to North Sea influence and partly due to relatively flat terrain allowing cold air to settle. Friday sees 7 degrees, then Saturday brings that wind shift. Great Yarmouth and the Norfolk coast add an extra degree or two of wind chill to whatever I am quoting for Norwich. Beyond Saturday, that Arctic air really establishes itself Sunday into Monday. We re-talking daytime temperatures struggling to reach 3 to 4 degrees across Scotland, 5 to 6 degrees across northern England, 7 to 8 degrees across the south. If we get clear skies Monday night into Tuesday, some rural Scottish glens could see temperatures down to -4 or -5 degrees. That would be the coldest night of the autumn so far. Don't take that to the bank yet. We need to see how cloud cover develops. The Met Office models show this cold snap lasting through early next week, possibly Wednesday or Thursday, before Atlantic influences start to reassert. The European model brings milder air back slightly sooner, perhaps by Tuesday or Wednesday. This difference matters if you are planning ahead for next week. About wind, Saturday into Sunday brings quite widespread fresh to strong winds, particularly across Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Northern England. Not a red warning situation, probably not even amber for most areas, but yellow warnings for wind are quite possible. The combination of cold air and strong winds creates notable wind chill. 5 degrees in calm conditions feels very different from 5 degrees with a 30 km/h wind. Factor that in when planning outdoor activities this weekend. Plymouth being colder than Aberdeen is unusual, but not unprecedented. It happens when cold air pools in southern areas, whilst milder Atlantic air affects the north. Today, S setup shows nearly 5 degrees difference between southwest England and northeast Scotland. That gradient indicates where our frontal systems are positioned and where the energy is in the atmosphere. I know this isn't ideal for those with outdoor plans this weekend. The combination of cold, wind, and unsettled conditions doesn't make for pleasant conditions, whether you are at a football match, doing parkrun, or shopping. But the good news is this doesn't look like a prolonged cold spell. Models suggest we re-back into more typical late November weather by the middle of next week. Temperatures recovering to 8 to 11 degrees across most areas. There is still uncertainty about exactly how quickly that recovery happens, though, which is why you need to check back tomorrow. Tonight, S model runs will give us much better clarity on the weekend details, the timing of precipitation, the exact temperatures, and crucially, how long this colder spell persists. If there's one thing to take away, it is this: the next 72 hours represent a significant pattern change. We're re-going from relatively mild conditions into something much colder and more unsettled. The impacts aren't severe for most areas. We're not talking beast from the east, but it's enough to affect your plans and enough that you need appropriate clothing and adjusted expectations. For tomorrow's video, I'll have those updated model runs, clearer precipitation timing, and much more specific guidance for your particular area. Drop your city or county in the comments. I read through them all, and I'll address as many specific locations as possible in tomorrow's update. I'll be watching closely overnight for any additional Met Office warnings. Currently, we've got yellow warnings for rain, but if wind speeds increase, as some models suggest, we could see wind warnings added for northern areas. If precipitation amounts increase in the European model solutions, we might see enhanced rainfall warnings for the southwest. These details develop in the 12 to 24 hours before an event, which is exactly why daily updates matter during active weather patterns. Thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate you staying informed about what's coming. Weather forecasting isn't about being right 100% of the time. It is about giving you the best available information as it evolves, being honest about uncertainties, and helping you make informed decisions. Tomorrow's video will be out by 9 o'clock in the morning, giving you plenty of time to adjust any weekend plans based on the updated forecast. Make sure you subscribed and turned on notifications. And seriously, drop your location in the comments. The more specific you are, the more specific I can be in tomorrow's update. Stay safe, stay warm, and I'll see you tomorrow morning with those